Hello and welcome to the Duluth News Tribune's Bulldog Insider podcast. I'm your host, Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat reporter at the News Tribune.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of Bulldogs hockey on My Nine Sports.
This week on the podcast, we have two more Olympic hopefuls from the UMD women's hockey team joining us from, and let's hope I pronounce these towns. We talked before the podcast trying to get names right. I'm probably going to butcher these names. I got pronunciations from the internet. The internet could really be wrong here. From Lappeenranta, Finland. Close enough. Welcome, senior defenseman Krista Parkkonen. Hi, Krista.
Thank you so much. That was really good.
That was really good.
So
better. The internet came through for me.
Yeah, that was good.
And from UB, Sweden.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Thea Johansson. Thea, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I didn't butcher your name. That's a first in podcast history.
We should pull back the curtain a little bit. We were just talking. Good enough for an American. How do you really say the city names?
Well, for me, it would be Lappeenranta.
And for me, it would be Ljungby.
Yeah, see, I took Spanish in middle school, high
Passing
school,
grade.
and I could never roll the R's in there. Wisconsin Spanish accent, just picture that. Both of you transferred here to UMD this season. Tia, you played at Mercyhurst in Erie, Pennsylvania before coming to UMD. We'll start with you. What brought you to the Bulldogs this year? Kind of take us through your transfer portal experience.
I had 3 great years at Mercyhurst, but I just felt like if I have 4 years here, I want to see something else. I want to see Minnesota, I guess. And I also know a lot of alumni playing here before, Jessica Healy, Sydney Morin, Michelle. So just a lot of girls that I knew. And yeah, I just heard a lot of good things about UMD, and I was super excited when I entered the portal. I had no clue really what to expect, but yeah, it turned out great, and I'm so happy to be a Bulldog right now.
I was going to say that was going to be my next question. I'm wondering, you played in the SDHL with some former Bulldogs. How big of an influence did they have on you going here?
Obviously, it was my choice, but I was talking, Jessica Healy is one of my best friends, and we talked, and yeah, I was pretty much, she also played with Coach Brick, which is kind of cool. So I talked to Jess, and yeah, she pretty much just tried to help me as much as she could. But yeah, just putting UMD and Duluth on the map for me, and yeah, I'm super happy and thankful for that.
Was UMD somewhere that you had heard about, or the WCHA obviously as a league has a really good reputation, but before Jess brought it up, was UMD in your mind, or did that kind of start with her?
Yeah, no, we played with each other when I was 16, so that's pretty much when I was thinking am I going to go to college and play or not? So I would say she was obviously a big part of college in general, how I know that how it works over here. So I would say both, yes, obviously she helped me a lot with okay, you should really try to go to UMD. But yeah, ever since I started talking to her about it, I feel like UMD has been one of my dream schools, and so cool school. So yeah, I'm super happy to be here.
This is where the portal seems to be. It's kind of like a blind dating show. It feels like with, somebody goes in the portal and then all their friends are, I got the perfect school for you. Did you reach out to UMD then? Did Coach Schuler reach out to you first? Did Jess set something up? What was the first contact you had?
Oh my God, I can't really remember. It was just a lot of things going on at the same time. Obviously, you didn't want to close any doors for any schools, but I remember, I think UMD, Shu reached out to me at the same time while I was talking to Jess, so maybe Jess brought it up, I don't know. But obviously she probably tried to put up a good word for me, obviously for the coaches and stuff. But from my side, the coaches reached out to me first, and that got me super excited, obviously.
Does Jess Healy have a future in being a sports agent is what we're asking here.
Maybe my personal one.
Your personal agent.
Yeah, for sure.
So you said you played with Jess Healy and Sid Morin in the SDHL when you were 16. I know Emma Soderberg played in the SDHL, Ida Carlson. Get a lot of Swedes that we see a lot of Bulldogs go across overseas to play in the SDHL, and a lot of the Swedes have played there before coming here. Can you explain to us, like, what goes on when you're 16 before you're enrolled in college playing in the SDHL? How do you get into that league, and how maybe is it different from then like a Sid Morin or someone who's already out of college?
I started playing. My first game was a couple of days after I turned 14.
Okay.
It was pretty much the reason is because we had a lot of injuries in H371 where I played have been playing all my years in SDHL. So I was 14. When I was like 15-ish, I moved away from home, which is like, that's obviously like a big thing. Like you're 15 years old, you don't know anything pretty much. You think you know a lot,
You
though.
think you know
Yeah.
everything at 15, but you really know less than nothing.
Exactly. No, but so I started off playing Division 1 with my home team, Thea. And yeah, H371 just had a lot of injuries and I got the opportunity to play. And obviously super cool and something that like I encourage everyone to do, like young girls, like it's super good. It's a great showcase. Like college teams are looking at the games, like watching you, like even though you don't think they are for sure. So no, just a super fun, like great league, super good with like the development part. Obviously, like they have developed a lot as well, like as all over the world with women's hockey, obviously. But yeah, I don't know, like it's the age gap is not as big as it was when I was playing, I don't think. But like obviously, like play with guys for as long as you can, and then SDHL is a great opportunity to showcase and develop.
Krista, Olivia Mobley would say you're a frequent flyer through I believe is what she called herself when she had been through the portal twice. You've been through the portal twice, 2 years at Vermont, and then last season with the Gophers. Now you're a Bulldog. What was your experience like going through the portal a second time?
Well, obviously you kind of understand how the system works once you go through it the second time around, and kind of like know how like coaches reach out, or maybe if I want to reach out, that's an option too. Like you're just more aware of how that whole thing works. And I would say I was in a way more comfortable and confident the second time around, just because like I understood how things work. But obviously it's always a little nerve-wracking going into it, not knowing like actually what you are going to do and what you want to do necessarily. But we got to talking with Coach Shu pretty fast once I entered the second time, and it's kind of history from there, like just clicked off pretty soon. And UMD has kind of always been one of the schools that I've been looking at in terms of like coming to college and stuff like that. So I just feel like the puzzle pieces went into the right place when I went into the portal the second time around. So yeah.
So according to some of my sources, UMD recruited you and another teammate from Vermont pretty hard the first time you went into the portal, right? Why'd you guys? There were a lot of players that left Vermont that year. Tell me about that decision of picking the Gophers over UMD, and then I'm wondering if when you went back in, you probably had a pretty good idea then that of schools that you would want to go to.
Yeah, well, when I first left Vermont, I like obviously wanted to go into WCHA because the reputation is obviously like the highest pace, most physical, just like all around a really good league. So my eyes were basically straight up on the WCHA once I decided to leave Hockey East. And yeah, then I just went to the visit and visited both Gophers and UMD. And at that time, Minnesota just seemed like the right fit for me at that time, which then obviously turned out maybe not to be the best fit for me because I ended up here, but maybe that's for the better just because like I learned a lot during my last year there at the Gophers, and I guess I took lessons like in terms of myself and in terms of hockey and all of that stuff and what is the right fit for me and what might not be. And then obviously going on that visit before like this year to Duluth obviously made it much easier for me to kind of like go into the process the second time around, just because like I knew what this place is like And I was kind of late into the transfer process last year, so that also kind of like helped me because I already had that previous knowledge of what this place is like. And I also talked to a couple players from here, like what their experience has been like and if I would be a good fit to the program in terms of like personality-wise and all of that stuff. And yeah, like I said, the puzzle pieces just kind of fell into the right place, and I'm really happy to be here now. So
what was that initial conversation like the second time around? So the first time around sounds like UMD really wanted you to come here. That when you left Vermont, you didn't. You go to the team that they didn't want you to go to and play a season there. What's the first conversation like when you go back in the portal and then talk to Coach Schuler and say, hey, maybe now I do want to come and play for you? What was that first conversation with her like? Do you remember?
Well, some people might like obviously jump to the conclusion that it's like, dude, like you picked the other place and now you want to come here, like what's up? But no, it was nothing like that. It was just straight up like, hey, we want you, just as it was the first time around. So like nothing changed there. Like the desire to have me was just as high the second time around. So yeah, I was super happy about that, even though like I said, many people might think that it would go the other way, but not in this case.
What's your experience been like then? You came into this rivalry. I mean, you're not born and bred in Minnesota, so you don't know necessarily all the history that exists between these programs, but I imagine you learned a lot last year playing for Minnesota, and now you've probably learned a lot this year in your handful of games with UMD. So what's it like having been on both sides of that rivalry now?
Well, I think it's kind of funny in a way to hear both sides of the story. Like, I feel like both teams want to beat the other just as much the other one. So yeah, it's been super interesting to hear kind of like the experiences down at the cities and what it is like up here. And like I said, it's kind of like the same narrative on both sides. Like both teams want to beat the other and all of that stuff. So yeah.
You both entered the transfer portal in an interesting situation because it's ahead of an Olympic year. And you were, anyone that's looking at the two of you is saying, all right, these are potential Olympians and such. First off, I'm wondering if either of you contemplated taking a year off from college to solely focus on the Olympics instead of trying to juggle both college life and Olympic life. Was that an option or something either of you had thought about?
Not for me, no. I when I entered the transfer portal, the main reason for me was that I wanted to play WCHA just because I knew that the hockey is obviously that's the main reason why I'm here. And I want to develop as a hockey player. And if I want to peak, I want to do it this year. So yeah, no, for me, I didn't even think taking a year off or anything because obviously we're going to miss a couple of games, but it's not too many. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I did not even think twice about that. If it was the case that what it's been in the past years for Team Canada and US, that they centralize, then that might make sense because you're gone anyways, most of the time. But since that's never been the case for Team Finland, for example, it never even crossed my mind to do that just because the highest level of hockey is here. So that's why I want to be here.
Did you find any schools in the portal? Maybe not because you guys were looking at WCHA programs and they're pretty used to this, but I'm wondering, were any programs turned off saying, I don't want to take on a player who may not be here for the entire season?
No.
I did not have a single conversation like that.
No.
Nah, those wouldn't be very bright programs, I think, honestly. But I'm curious, because with the roster limits coming in and such, it's definitely something teams have to juggle. Mm-hmm. How does, Thea, I think you already mentioned it, how does playing college hockey help prepare you for the Olympics? We've kind of made it a big deal. You mentioned Canadians and the Americans usually centralize, take a year off from college. But the Europeans have been doing this for a while now, as long as there's been, college women's hockey and Olympic women's hockey juggling two lives. How does playing specifically maybe in the WCHA help prepare you for the Olympics?
Obviously, playing one of the, or a couple of the best players in the world, that obviously helps. But just college in general, I feel our coaches is always talking good about it's a good thing to go play college, play around, because for us, we want to be the best country in the world, and we got to look at Canadians and Americans and see what they do, because that has been the top teams the past couple of years now. So like just looking at them getting to play against and practice against and with Americans, Canadians, Finns, obviously, like that will help and that will develop us. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just kind of adding on to that, like the general college experience, like as a European, I feel like coming over here, just being away from your immediate family and kind of like your support network just like helps you grow as a person too, and like helps you manage those pressures that come with being in the Olympic kind of like pool of players who might get selected, and ultimately like just managing your life away from home is gonna ultimately help you also perform once you go into those big stages, because you just kind of have to be able to manage yourself and your emotions and all of that stuff. So
I was going to ask about that. I think we talked to Ida Carlson about this last year when they were going through the pre-Olympic and the selection process and that kind of stuff. What is the physical and the emotional balance you have to have, knowing what could come for both of you later this year, but also you've got work to do here in Duluth with this team? How do you balance that, and then schoolwork and life and all the things that go into this? Krista, you think it makes it easier to be here and just have this program to focus on until you get to the Olympics, or is part of you always looking ahead and preparing for what could come down the road?
I feel like it's kind of both in a way. Like I definitely keep in mind the bigger goal that's coming later on, but at the same time, it's like I want to be present here in the moment because these games matter, and I want to be like doing the best that I can for this team so we can get the best result possible at the end of the year. So it's kind of like pushing yourself on the day-to-day as hard as you can, but keeping in mind that like, okay, maybe take that rest day when normally you would just push on and like keep going, and, you know, just keeping in mind that my body needs to like rest, recover in between that pushing and shoving kind of a thing to like ultimately build that foundation for the bigger thing that's coming next.
But also like going off of that, like using it more as a motivation. Like we don't have to look too far ahead, but like we also obviously want to make the team, and like that's what we're doing. Like Krista said, on a day-to-day basis, like we got to work hard every single day. We got to play those games, and like obviously like focusing on our team, focusing on like here and now and like what we're actually doing every single day, and like use that like big goal as a motivation that like we really want to take a spot on that team. But that's all also like the team is not out yet and we have no clue if we're gonna make it. So like using it as motivation, and like we want to play good here. Obviously we want to win a national championship at the end of the day also. So yeah.
We talked to Ev about what her schedule's been like as a Canadian Olympic hopeful. What has your schedule's been like for Sweden and Finland? We talked a little bit about it before we started recording. Krista, starting with you, what's it looked like the fall in preseason? Because you guys were both gone for a bit in preseason, I believe preseason and the season. How are you juggling both of these responsibilities?
Well, it's a lot of communication, that's for sure. Like for Team Finland, it's like we met once during the summer, once right before like coming here, basically. Then there's a camp upcoming in November. Our coaches have tended to kind of like what we were talking about before. They tend to invite the Swedish league players and Finnish league players to that camp, and then invite the US-based players to the December camp. So that's kind of like how our rhythm has been. And like I said, it's a lot of communication and just talking to your teachers and all of that stuff to like arrange things as soon as possible. And like once we know the selections for the camps for sure, like that's when you want to reach out to your professors and be like, hey, this is happening, and let's see if we need to like move things around in terms of academics and all of that stuff. But it's a lot of work, but it pays off ultimately in the end.
So is it tough for you to like miss? I know we were talking before, hey, I don't have to do the long trip to Finland coming up here, but like, is it tough? Do you feel like you're missing out at all? Or do they maybe not have to invite the Finnish players that are over here in the US because of everything you guys are doing, playing in a lot of you play in the WCHA, playing in the WCHA, the opportunities you have to work out and train here and in college. I think that's something that we even hear from men's players, the benefit of college is you just play the 2 games a week on Friday and Saturday, and in between you get time to train and recover, and it's not as much of a grind and such. So, I mean, again, the question is, are you going to be experiencing some FOMO in November when you know the rest of the team is over there and you're back here?
No, for sure. To a certain degree, like it's always an honor to wear the Finnish jersey. So like you want to be part of every single kind of like event that they're having. And obviously that just brings the team closer together the more experience you have. So in that sense, yeah, I definitely wish I would be there. But kind of like I was joking, it's nice not having to spend that 16 hours traveling back and forth, like within 8 days or something like that. So that's definitely the upside of it. But at the same time, I know that our coaches trust what our coaches are doing here and what the WCHA is able to offer. And they know that we're still having good practices and all of that stuff. So I don't think that they're, in that sense, worried at all about what we're doing here.
The Olympics are such a pinnacle of the sport, right, in women's hockey. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten used to talking to the Olympians that have come through the UMD program, and we've had a couple that are from the European side of things, but the U.S. and Canada have had such a stranglehold on this tournament. Can you talk about what it would mean to each of your countries to have that breakthrough moment? Because I think this is something special for all of Europe, really, when it comes to women's hockey, is if and when a European country gets there, it's going to be a big, big day. Can you talk about how much it would mean to unseat Canada and the Americans in the Olympic tournament?
I mean, obviously, like playing Canada and the US, like those games are obviously always huge, and like you got to be on your top that day to be able to get out with a win. But at the same time, like as I mentioned before, like that's the teams we got to win over if we're gonna have a chance to win a gold medal. So like it's gonna happen, but it's just like, as I said, like you gotta be on your 100% that day when you're playing them to be able to beat them. And like, that's again, like such a big like motivation and like something that you obviously want to do, something that you dream about and something that you're thinking about when you're battling hard to like against someone in your team in the corner or doing, I don't know, runs or something in the summer. Like, yeah, that's for sure like something that we're really like striving for.
Yeah, I would say in terms of Finland too, it's the same thing. Like that's the ultimate goal, to beat US or Canada, or for that matter, whoever ends up being in the gold medal match. So obviously it would be a huge deal. So yeah, I don't know what else to add. You pretty much summed it up pretty well.
Thea, what's your schedule been like? You were kind of doing some stuff before the season started in the preseason as well. There was the Euro Hockey Tour stop, and you are heading over to Europe for that coming up after the series with St. Cloud, right?
Yep. So we like during the summer, like obviously we had a lot of camps, like not necessarily games, but more like, yeah, getting together, like getting the team together. And obviously now in November, we're playing at home in Sweden. That's obviously a huge opportunity for us to show our fans too what we're made of. And yeah, super fun to get back home and play some games, obviously. And then, yeah, this is the second to last tournament before we go to Olympics. So just going there and not put way too much pressure on yourself because you obviously want to make the team. But at the same time, like, we have 2 camps left. We just got to do what we know we can do. And like as a team, like compared to Finland, like I think our coaches are more thinking like getting together as a group, as a team, like, and also like now we have a bye weekend. So like what else can we do than go and play hockey, you know?
All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Krista and Thea. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider podcast, brought to you by the News Tribune's limited podcast series, Edmund Fitzgerald, 50 Years Below.
You know the name. You've heard the song. You know the number. 29 men were lost when the Edmund Fitzgerald was overcome by the gales of November 50 years ago. But do you know the rest of the story? The Duluth News Tribune has been close to this story from the beginning, and now we're looking back as the world marks a half-century since the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. In this limited podcast, we will tell the story of the Fitzgerald from its launch to its loss, and we will also explore its legacy. Edmund Fitzgerald, 50 Years Below, will be released in 5 episodes this fall, starting October 13th and leading up to November 10th, 2025. Watch DuluthNewsTribune.com for articles, images, and videos that expand the story.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider podcast, brought to you by Edmund Fitzgerald, 50 Years Below. The first 3 episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. The latest episode, titled We Are Holding Our Own, is out now. You can support all of the Duluth News Tribune's podcasts by visiting DuluthNewsTribune.com. Subscribe and check out all of our content that we have there, including the new Bulldog Insider podcast bonus segment we just recorded during the break. It's our question of the week. This week's question was, if you could nationalize any of your current Bulldog teammates for the 2026 Olympics, who are you picking? We did not allow them to pick Ev Gascon and Caitlin Kramer. I could hear all of you going, duh, Matt, they're going to pick one of them. Check out the video to see who they picked at DuluthNewsTribune.com. Krista, I mentioned my sources told me that you were originally on the transfer portal radar a couple years ago, and I've been rooting for that because as a journalist, I like good stories. And it seemed likely when I was looking at the depth chart of, if they had Krista, she would fit in really well with Ida Karlsson. And I thought, wow, a Finnish and Swedish defensive pair, that could be interesting. That would be a fun story. So we kind of got to it in the question of the week there. How would you two describe the rivalry between Sweden and Finland? Is it anywhere like U.S. and Canada, Bulldogs, Gophers? How would you two describe the rivalry between your two countries?
Well, I mean, I would say it's pretty close to Gophers and Bulldogs.
Yeah.
You don't think?
I mean, yes, for sure. It's a big rivalry, obviously. Like, we're usually calling them the younger brother or younger sister, I guess. So, I mean, no. It's always such a fun games. Like, a lot of people know each other, like, playing, like, as Krista mentioned before, but, like, a lot of girls playing in the Swedish league or, like, a lot of players playing over here. Like, it's just a lot of fun. And, like, obviously, like, every time we play, it's, like, it's no joke. Like, it's for real. Like, you don't want to lose to Finland, but they're such a good team. Like, obviously a top 5 team in the world. So for us, like, we obviously want to beat them every single time. And it's something that, like, it's also, like, a big motivation, like, playing them, you don't want to lose. And, yeah, obviously always fun games.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And what I think makes it the most fun is the fact that we know so many people from each other's teams. So just that friendship rivalry is what I think makes it even more fun. But yeah, just what Thea was saying, we want to beat them every single time, and they're really high-paced and physical games. So it's always so much fun.
It's fascinating to me about the women's game because it doesn't happen that much in the men's college game. The closest thing we have is World Juniors, and UMD hasn't had a lot of, like, Canadians come through where the players from the same UMD locker room go play in the US-Canada game. It's going to happen at some point in this Olympic cycle where you're going to play your UMD teammates, or there's going to be UMD players on both sides of a really intense rivalry. What do you think that's going to be like after the Olympics with Ev and Caitlin and the Ida included for you, Krista? You might play against her if you both are on the roster. So what do you think the post-Olympic comeback together is going to be like for UMD?
Well, I mean, it depends a lot on what the standings are at the end of the tournament. But no, I'm just kidding. Obviously, like, we're technically against each other on the ice, and that's how it should be. But we're friends, like, right after we take the gear off. So I don't think there's going to be anything crazy after the tournament. We're going to be just fine. We're going to be friends and going back into whatever we're doing here. So I think it'll be a pretty quick turnaround, honestly.
Krista, does Finland root for Sweden when they're taking on like the U.S. and Canada? And Thea, does Sweden root for Finland when taking on the U.S. or Canada?
Honestly, I think we kind of root for whoever like European team is against U.S. or Canada, no matter who it is. So short answer, yes, we do root
also
for
depending
Sweden.
on like how the games has been during the tournament, I feel like.
True.
Whoever helps you more.
Yeah, like
exactly.
But no, like for sure, like we, as we mentioned before, like we want to win, and like I feel like the Euros kind of like stick together in a way too. Like it would be so cool if a European country would beat USA or Canada for the gold medal game. So like, yeah, obviously I wouldn't say I am like sharing because like not out loud, but like maybe inside like a little bit, I guess.
Would either of you put on the other's jersey if they played the U.S. or Canada in the gold medal game?
No.
So it's very secretly that you're cheering for that.
Yeah.
You're more rooting against the U.S. and Canada than for Finland or Sweden, is what you're saying here.
Yeah. But also, like, that's probably mainly because we just want someone else than Canada and the U.S. to, like, win. So, yeah, like, if it was... I feel like when we're watching, like, not women's hockey, when we're watching, like, men's hockey or, like, junior or, like, juniors or whatever, like, I think that's, like, a full other story. Like, then it doesn't matter if Canada or the U.S. win, then we just won't cheer for Finland, I guess.
I mean, you're...
So if it's like Czechia, Finland in the gold medal game, Thea, you're rooting for Czechia.
I'm not voting for anyone.
Not any of them. Okay. Krista, how about you if it's the other way around? If it's Sweden and Czechia?
Sweden now, that's gonna make me look bad.
Well, I guess I have to go with the same answer. It's neutral at that point.
Neutral at that point.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're on the rosters, are there going to be Olympic bets in the locker room? You don't have to tell us what they are if they've already been made, but is there going to be some friendly bets on this tournament?
I don't know, actually.
Because there's a lot of countries represented.
Yeah, maybe they won't tell us.
Yeah. Might not make it all the way to our ears what they're betting on, but there might be.
Maybe,
I don't know.
I don't know either, actually.
All right. I'd like to learn about both the towns that you guys grew up in. Krista, we'll start with yours, Lappeenranta. Tell us about your hometown back in Finland.
So I would say it's compared to US sizes, it's a relatively smallish town, southeast Finland. We're like right on like Lake Saimaa, which is the biggest lake in entire Finland, essentially. And yeah, I would say that our town is like the prettiest when it's summertime or spring, since we're like next to the lake, so you can do all kinds of outdoor activities. And I would say definitely that we're more an outdoorsy town than like a city like where you want to just be in a shopping mall or something. So yeah, beautiful nature, lots of lakes, forests, all of that stuff.
What's the hockey culture like there?
Well, we have a pro like men's team there, so it's like one of the biggest things that people follow in like our town. So hockey is, like I said, I would say the biggest sport that people look into in our town. And actually last season our hometown's team made it all the way to the finals of our like men's pro league. So that just drew a lot of attention to our kind of like program there and our entire hometown essentially. So yeah, hockey's big there.
Thea, tell us about Ljungby.
Ljungby. It's a super small town too, in South Sweden, not all the way south, but still south. A super big hockey town, a lot of big hockey fans there. The hockey team, like the pro team, is in the second highest league in Sweden now, which is like, that's like good, I would say. They got bumped up last year, actually. My brother's playing in the team, so I was kind of pumped for that. But yeah, tiny town, just love it. It's so like, not everyone knows everyone, but almost. And yeah, it's just like when I come back like for the winters or like for Christmas or over the summer, it's just like family, I feel like.
How much time have the two, like Krista, how much time have you spent in Sweden? Thea, how much time have you spent in Finland? Like do the two countries, like do you guys visit each other's countries much, or how does that work?
Honestly, I would say that I went over there more in my younger years. Like we would just do little family vacations, like a little cruise or something over to Sweden. But like more recently, it's just been purely hockey based, basically, for what I've gone there for. But yeah, I would say like when I was younger, we went over there pretty often.
I'm going to be honest, I've never been to Finland if it wasn't for hockey. And I don't know if we would have. Really? I'm sorry, Chris.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah,
She's
hockey.
like, stay away, you Swedish tourists.
No, but like for hockey, like I wish I would have seen more of Finland. Like I think like the culture is probably like kind of the same, but like we obviously see like not like the absolute fancy places. We see like the hockey rinks obviously, and like that's pretty much it. But yeah, no, like not a lot of knowledge about Finland, to be honest.
Yeah, I always feel kind of bad for the other teams that come and visit us, because most of the camps and tournaments have been at like our Olympic training centers, and they're kind of like in the middle of nowhere in some senses, like in the middle of forests and stuff like that. So you don't really see much or learn much about the culture in those settings. So it's always great when we play in a bigger city or something. So
what are the biggest differences between Finland and Sweden, would you say?
Yeah, what do you think, Krista?
That's a great question. Do you have an idea?
Not really.
I mean, would you say your two countries are pretty similar?
Yeah, like I think like the biggest difference is probably like the language.
Yeah.
Like it's unfair because we don't understand any Finnish, but the Finnish understand Swedish. So I think that's like kind of unfair, and like that's a difference, I guess. But other than that, like nature, culture, I feel like we're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Why is it that way? Why do Finns understand Swedish and not the other way around, Krista?
So we had to learn Swedish in school. Like it was a mandatory second language for us. So like technically everybody is supposed to know Swedish, but it's just hard because like now, especially like, for example, on the East Coast, like nobody actually speaks Swedish. So you're not exposed to the language all the time. It's more like on the West Coast or like Southwest where there's like Finnish Swedish people who actually speak Swedish. So yeah, I honestly, like I can understand most of the time what, for example, Thea and Ida are talking about, but I could not really like get involved in the conversation just because I don't remember that much.
And no Finnish in the Swedish schools?
No, nothing. I don't know.
See, I feel like
anything.
Ev could like relate to this, where it's like Quebec, they know French and English, but then you get to the rest of Canada and they don't know a lick of French. All right, I got to ask some questions about Sweden and Finland. Who has better coffee, Sweden or Finland? We've heard a lot about fika on this podcast in Sweden. Does Finland have anything equivalent to that, or?
Well, I think Finland is actually one of the highest coffee consumers in the world. So I would say we have pretty decent coffee.
Well, I'm not very good at answering this question because I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
So I guess, but like, yeah, whatever. We still have fika though.
Whatever.
Fika is the best, and that's our thing. So.
Fika is the best, but you don't drink fika.
Who's got better food?
We do.
I would have to say Finland does.
Okay, what's like if I'm going to Finland, what is the one dish I got to try to really get a good taste of Finland?
Well, if you want like a, let's say, fancier meal, I would go for salmon soup. If you want like a homemade kind of Christmassy vibe, there would be this Karelian beef stew with like mashed potatoes or actual potatoes, one or the other. Or then if you want to go a little more exotic, and this is gonna probably sound a bit bad for some listeners, but reindeer is a big thing, especially like in the northern Finland. So I would pick one of those three.
I was just in Alaska, and I had thought about that. Like, I should try reindeer, but then I don't know if I could look my young children in the
What does reindeer taste like? Does it compare to something that you've had other than that?
Alaska had reindeer, by the way. Like a lot of places
Yeah.
where have like reindeer sausage and stuff like that. So
Honestly, I can't think from the top of my head what the closest would be to that. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, I thought about there was someplace selling reindeer sausages, and I'm like, I can't bring these back. My kids would like be
Yeah.
devastated,
You can't tell
absolutely
them.
devastated. So, yeah, went to Alaska, saw the North Pole, brought back reindeer sausage. I'm glad my kids are old enough and can't listen to this podcast right now. Thea, what would be the go-to besides fika in Sweden? What would be the go-to?
I mean, Swedish meatballs is a big thing. Like, obviously, like everyone loves Swedish meatballs.
Yeah, everyone in America loves Swedish meatballs as well.
Yes.
Thank you,
Have you
IKEA.
had them in America?
I've had them at IKEA, yes, but like,
Are they close? I always wonder this. Did
No.
we butcher it?
like no, not like homemade Swedish meatball. Like that's like something else. Like you can't compare that to anything that.
Americans are really good at taking food from other cultures
Yeah.
and butchering.
Right.
Yeah.
That is what we are phenomenal at doing. Who does winter better, Sweden or Finland?
Well, technically, Santa Claus comes from Finland because they're from the North Pole. So I guess I would have to say Finland.
I was just in Alaska with the men's team, and North Pole was just south of Fairbanks. So there's also a North Pole, Finland, or the actual North Pole is in Finland.
The actual North
The
Pole.
actual North Pole.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Not an
We
Ameri-
got that.
You
Yeah.
got it. Not an American tourist trap.
I mean, I would probably I'll have to give this to Finland, but it's also because I'm like from South Sweden, so like we don't get as much like snow or anything, and I love snow. That's like the best thing about winter, I think. But so I guess I'm kind of in the right place here in Minnesota.
You're going to love Duluth. Give it a week or two.
Maybe I'm saying too much now. I'm going to hate it probably, but no, I'll say Finland on that one, I guess.
Who does summer better?
Sweden.
It's hard because I feel like midsummer is like really big for both of our countries, and we both have our own traditions. So I think we both have really fun things planned every summer for that. So I feel like we're pretty equal in this.
Thea, is
Midsummer, yeah, I would say Sweden, obviously. Like, yeah, I love Swedish summers, but it's also like we always Swedish people always want to go to like Spain or Greece or something. So like maybe not, but we wouldn't travel to Finland for summer.
Okay. All right. Some rapid fire to close this out here. I'll stop trying to start Swedish versus Finland fight here. Oh, I will do this one. Like, is there one country? I think of like Minnesota and Wisconsin. Like those two, our two states bicker a lot, and they are like, as someone who's lived in both states for a great portion of his life, they're really similar, super similar. You know, both states basically claim the same things. They do, Zach. Minnesota, there's a lot of things that Minnesota thinks is unique to Minnesota. And it's like, well, yeah, Wisconsin has that too. And there were things that I grew up in Wisconsin
kind of like America has Swedish meatballs too. They're there, but they're not nearly as
Okay,
good.
you want the equivalent to that if we want to start cheese curds. Minnesota thinks it does cheese curds really well.
that's not
and
true.
They
Well,
don't.
not true for me. Wisconsin can have cheese curds, but there's things in Minnesota that are better in Minnesota.
All right, if you say so. There are also things that I didn't realize, like I thought were native to Wisconsin that weren't, that they're also in Minnesota. Thought Fleet Farm was a Wisconsin thing all my life. So is there one thing that you guys are like united, that Sweden and Finland are united against, besides the Canadian and American Olympic hockey teams? I think Wisconsin and Minnesota, like we all hate Chicago. I think equally, like the sports teams and stuff, like we're united against Chicago. We really hate Illinois and Wisconsin, though, to another extent, but it's because they're horrible drivers. Finland and Sweden, what unites the two of you? Like, is it Norway? Is it Denmark? One of those two countries?
Oh my God, this is a hard question.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we're always like
You guys are just too nice. You're too nice to everyone.
we would go together with Norway and be like, oh my God, Finland. But we wouldn't do that to like Norway. But I guess maybe not really. It depends on what we're doing, I guess.
The rivalry, the biggest Scandinavian rivalry is Finland and Sweden.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
okay.
it also like depends on maybe like sports and stuff, because like in like cross country skiing, like we're very big against Norway. Like we don't like Norway there. So like it depends, I guess. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, me neither.
I have no idea.
Rapid fire to close this out here. You guys mentioned you're excited. The Bulldogs are going to Europe as well here. I'm hoping you guys aren't having to make like flights from Europe back to the U.S. and then U.S. But how is that working for the two of you when the Bulldogs go to Ireland?
So
Any idea yet?
From my understanding, we're both going to be like going from home to Ireland.
Okay. All right. Because that would be a lot of flying, especially Thea, with you actually doing the Euro tour here in November. Someone's gonna. It's like, why is Thea sitting in first class right now? She got the frequent flyer miles and everything, the upgrades and everything. Yeah. For you two, first up, how long of a trip is it, Krista? How long is it? How long of a trip are you avoiding not having to go to the tournament in November here from Duluth back to Finland?
Well, technically, it's like, once you wake up, it's going to be 24 hours until you're going to go back to sleep again.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Thea,
usually
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
I mean, you are super tired when you get back home, so you fall asleep pretty good, and the jet lag won't bother you. Not the first night, but
then it goes downhill from there for the next couple
from
days.
There, for sure.
Can either of you sleep on planes?
No, like I'm not a good sleeper in general. Like I don't need a lot of sleep to function, and I think I'm aware, so that's something that is like kind of negative, I guess, but like 1 hour here and there, but yeah, not a big sleeper on planes.
Kind of the same for me. Like I'm really bad at sleeping on the plane, so if there's any tips, let me know.
Please send them in. I can't. I was like, the people that spend the most time on planes have to have tips how to sleep on planes. And then, all right, what are 3 things that you bring on a long flight to survive?
Headphones for sure.
Yep. Same
like noise
for me.
canceling, headphones. That's a big one. Like your computer, obviously, like watching like movies and stuff.
I thought you were going to say doing homework.
Yeah, no. I guess sometimes you're forced to. No, I don't know really. Like headphones is like probably my biggest thing, just to like cancel out all the noise, trying to relax a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I would say headphones are a must have, and then I actually quite often bring a book too, and maybe like those sleeping masks so you can pretend to sleep.
Yeah.
This is a frequent question we throw. What is your go-to on planes to pass the time? Watch movies, binge TV shows, or read a book?
Yeah, I'll have to say movies. I'm not a big show, or I'm not watching movies, shows, or I'm not reading books either. So,
okay.
So if I had to pick, I would probably say movie.
Movies?
I'm honestly pretty split between like watching some shows or movies and the books, because I've sometimes spent the whole flight reading a book or doing the other, so depends what mood I'm in.
Wait, so do you put your noise canceling headphones on and then just sit there?
No.
What's in the headphones? Music? Just music?
Yeah, music or like podcasts.
Okay.
I like podcasts, and those like actually made me like fall asleep. So like having to listen to something, I guess maybe makes you extra relaxed. But yeah, like I don't know. Like,
I thought for a second you just liked the quiet
no,
for 12 hours.
Not,
I mean, I've done that actually. You put in the try to get some sleep, and you need to drown out the buzz.
To sleep. Yeah.
Or the crying baby behind you,
Yeah,
or something like that. Aisle or window seat?
I'll say aisle, because you can like stretch out your legs. You can walk around.
I used to be an aisle, but now I'm a window.
Why the window?
Because you can sleep better if I would sleep, you know?
Airplane food or bring your own?
Honestly, I think bringing your own would end up being better, but I always eat the airplane food. So
Yeah, I'm the same way. Sometimes I feel like I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna buy like snacks or like food. And then like the time just goes by, and then it's like, okay, like I didn't have time to buy food, so I'll just eat the flights.
Exactly.
Food, I guess.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thanks to both of you. We're probably gonna we're gonna get you in a press conference here before you guys go away on break to get tips, because I'm assuming your teammates have also been hitting the Europeans up for tips for the trip to Ireland. Thanks to both of you for coming on the podcast
Thank
here.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
You can find more episodes of the Bulldog Insider podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Like us, subscribe, and rate us. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit DuluthNewsTribune.com/Bulldog Insider. Subscribe to gain access to all of our coverage all season long. Zach, what does the TV schedule look like? Women at St. Cloud, the men are at North Dakota.
No coverage from us for the women's series against St. Cloud, and then we'll have both games for the men at North Dakota, 7 o'clock Friday, 6 o'clock Saturday from Grand Forks.
God bless the 6 o'clock starts. Not as good as I think the women are at 2 and 1 in the afternoon this weekend. I'd love it if the men started playing.
Yeah, they might be home by puck drop for the men's game on Saturday. So
all right. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.